It was a crisp winter evening in 2024, when the political landscape of America began to shift in ways no one could have predicted. As the nation's people looked ahead to the 2024 presidential election, many thought it would be a battle between fresh faces and well-worn political dynasties. But a familiar figure had returned to the political arena, one who had once held the highest office in the land, and whose name still stirred both fervent support and fierce opposition: Donald J. Trump. The prelude to 2025, Trump's first term in office, had ended controversially, with a mixture of undeniable successes and contentious moments. While many praised his economic policies, deregulation efforts, and foreign diplomacy initiatives, others criticized his approach to social issues, his handling of the pandemic, and his polarizing rhetoric. He had left the White House in 2021, but he never really left the public eye. Trump remained a fixture in American politics, constantly hinting at a return while remaining one of the most influential voices within the Republican Party. In the years that followed his presidency, the United States faced turbulence. The economy had rebounded from the 2020 crash, but was unstable in parts of the country, leading to rising discontent. Major political divisions deepened, and frustration with the establishment grew. The people felt unheard, and many yearned for the bold leadership that Trump had embodied. A sense of nostalgia for a time when things seemed simpler and more decisive took hold. The 2024 election cycle, the unexpected catalyst. By 2024, the Republican Party had fractured. Some of Trump's allies had risen to power, others had distanced themselves. The traditional establishment candidates were underwhelming, leaving voters anxious about the future. As the Republican primaries began, it became clear that the party was searching for someone with a commanding presence, someone who could cut through the noise and stand firm against the rising tide of political correctness and left-wing activism. Trump had spent the last several years building a grassroots following, holding rallies, and frequently commenting on social media. His ability to tap into the fears and frustrations of middle America made him a unique figure. The political landscape had changed, and many voters were ready to embrace Trump's brash, unapologetic style once again. It wasn't just about policy. It was about identity. Trump had become a symbol, and his supporters believed he was the only one who could restore the American greatness he had so often spoken about. Meanwhile, Democrats faced their own challenges. The administration of President Biden, who was now in his late 80s, struggled with low approval ratings, scandals, and an inability to unite the country. A younger challenger, however, was making waves on the Democratic side: Governor Aidan McGrath from California, an outspoken progressive with a history of progressive policy reforms. Despite the odds, Trump's early campaign rallies showed something the nation hadn't seen in years: enthusiasm. He was drawing crowds in the tens of thousands, reigniting old flames. The media, though often critical, could not deny the force of his presence. In a series of chaotic Republican debates, Trump's dominant combative style left his competitors faltering. His slogan, "Make America Great Again, Again," quickly caught on, and he surged in the polls. But it wasn't just about political power. It was about the establishment versus the outsiders. The country was fatigued from years of political gridlock and inefficiency. Many felt they needed someone who didn't care about political correctness or the status quo. The 2024 Republican primary. The turning point. The Republican primaries were a brutal affair. Trump's biggest challenge came from a new crop of Republican hopefuls, including a young charismatic senator from Texas, Ethan Shaw. Shaw was seen as an alternative, an upstart conservative with promises of unity and a return to values. But He lacked the experience and sheer force of will that Trump had built over the years. As the primary season dragged on, Shaw's campaign struggled to keep pace with Trump's media presence and larger-than-life persona. The key turning point came in mid-2024, when Trump's main rival, Governor Sarah Taylor from Florida, withdrew from the race after a scandal involving her administration's handling of a natural disaster. This cleared the path for Trump. He dominated the primaries, securing victory after victory until the Republican National Convention in July, where he officially became the party's nominee. The 2024 general election, the battle for the soul of America with Trump. As the Republican candidate, the stage was set for a historic showdown against Governor McGrath. The 2024 general election was unlike any other in American history. Trump's base was fired up, and McGrath's supporters were passionate about change, offering a stark contrast between the old and the new. The battle for the presidency wasn't just about policies, it was about the direction of the country. McGrath ran on a platform of progressive reform, climate change action, healthcare expansion, and economic equity. Trump, in contrast, promised a return to strong borders, economic independence, a renewed focus on American industries, and a crackdown on woke culture. The country was divided, and every rally, every speech, felt like a high-stakes drama. The debates were fiery, with Trump calling McGrath's policies unrealistic and overly idealistic. McGrath, in turn, accused Trump of fostering division and being out of touch with the younger generation. The media coverage was relentless. In key swing states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Arizona, Trump's promises of job creation and economic nationalism resonated with blue-collar voters. McGrath's promises of a more inclusive, progressive America sparked a similar enthusiasm, but it wasn't enough to bridge the gaps in key demographics. In the final days before the election, the country was on edge. The election results were close. So close, in fact, that it took several days for all the ballots to be counted. Ultimately, Trump triumphed, winning the Electoral College by a narrow margin, despite McGrath winning the popular vote. His victory speech was triumphant, not just because of the electoral win, but because it marked a return to a different vision of America, one that was unapologetic, bold, and unafraid to challenge the status quo. 2025. Trump's return to the White House. When Trump was sworn in on January 20, 2025, it felt like the culmination of a long, tumultuous journey. As the nation looked to the future, many feared that the political divisions would only worsen. But Trump, with his characteristic confidence, promised to unite the country, not through compromise, but through strength. In his first 100 days, Trump worked swiftly to implement his vision. He cut taxes again, tightened immigration laws, and sought to revive the manufacturing industry through tariffs and protectionist policies. He reshuffled the cabinet, bringing in loyalists and supporters from his previous administration and the private sector. Meanwhile, the opposition was already preparing for the next fight, with accusations of authoritarianism and an alarming disregard for democratic norms. But Trump's presidency was not just about the politics of power. It was about the promise he made to his supporters, the promise to be their voice. And for better or worse, he was delivering it in spades. In 2025, America was on a new path, one that seemed familiar, but also uncertain. Trump had made his return, and while the country was divided, one thing was certain: his story was far from over.